Now let's go back and talk about the graphs of our inverse functions. They're kind of specific. Here I have in blue the graph of the function f, and in green you can see I have the graph of the inverse function f inverse. Now the characteristics of a function with its inverse when you graph it is that they are reflected across this imaginary y is equal to x line. Okay, and so this function f is reflected across that line to give me the inverse function down here. Now in the previous video we talked about how to come up with the equation of a inverse function, and we said that we simply switch their x's and their y's. Notice that the x and y coordinates for my function f are switched for the inverse function f. Okay, so AB on the function and BA for the inverse function. So it's kind of easy if you're just trying to graph the function if you're given one already, which is what we're going to do. Let me make this a little smaller. So I want to use the given graph to then draw the inverse function. In order to do that, I want to just kind of point out the points that we are given on here. Here, this is the point -3, 0. I then have the point -1, 2. And the final point that's given to me is this point 5, 3. Now, in order to draw the inverse, I'm simply going to take these 3 points and switch their ordered pairs, or their x and y coordinates. So for this -3, 0, I would end up with 0, -3. So 0, -3 is down here. This is 0, -3. On a -1, 2, I would have over 2 down 1. So this is the point 2, -1. And the final point 5, 3 should be 3, 5. So I have 3, 5, which is up here. And I can connect these dots, and you can see that this red line represents the inverse function. It should be graphed, if I graphed it roughly correct, it should be reflected across this imaginary y is equal to x line, and it does appear that that is the case. And that's all you would do when you're asked to draw the inverse function given a graph you already have.